Well, good, I'm glad somebody's eating these things, they're so ugly. I think fish in general are maybe little fish in the tank. No, fish here. We didn't ever eat fish, well, we didn't have meals at my house anyway, but, yeah, we didn't have, when I had fish, we had smelt a couple of times, and that turned me off forever. Deep fried little things with the head and the tail still on them. And that's, we had that a couple times. My mom, she was gonna make TV, but she didn't come to stop on her.
Oh, wait, we sat down.
We ate salty and
All right, we'll stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I got 6 o'clock. We'll call the Overbrook City Council meeting to order at for April. Becky, would you call roll?
Oliver King. Here. Cheryl Miller.
Here.
Anna Smith. Here. Matt Craig. Kyle Michael. We have a quorum.
Understand we have a quorum. Okay, that takes us to approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes, corrections, addition to the agenda as presented?
Just the one I mentioned about the report.
Okay.
Where do you want to move it?
We got an update on the growth committee report, so we'll put it in special reports.
Okay.
How about E2? All right. We've added E2, growth committee. All right. Any other changes, corrections, additions to the agenda as amended? We'll add, I'm not sure what to call that. Under administrative action items, we'll add discussion of elected personnel. And we'll put it G6A. I'm not sure we'll need the executive session. And I'm not sure we'll need G6B, but if we do, it's there. Okay. Anything else? Changes or corrections to the agenda? We've added 2 items. All right. Take a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
We got a motion by Polly and a second by Cheryl. Any other discussion on that? Not? All in favor? All opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. So that was Polly, Cheryl, and motion passes 5-0. Okay. Takes us to the consent agenda. When I had a chance to review the consent agenda, any questions, concerns? Want to discuss anything in there? take a motion to approve the consent agenda. We got a motion by Hannah, second by Matt. Any other discussion on that? All in favor? All opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0, and that was Hannah and Matt. The motion passes. Okay, that takes us to item Echo, E1 sewer project updates. We had the pre-construction meeting on the 19th. And the notice to proceed was issued for that. Expecting to start in August-ish. So then that'll go through 2027 for completion and finalization of that. So construction will coincide with the growing season for the desludging and those kinds of things. So
Quick question, is it 395 days from the time that they actually start construction, or is it from here?
395 days is from the notice to proceed.
Okay.
It should put us into 2027. There's a schedule out there if you guys want to review that. We have the schedule of the timeline, and then we'll also need to pay attention to the schedule for as they start constructing. The billing will come to the council for approval and review. So if we have any questions or concerns on that, we'll want to bring those up at those pay invoices, and then we'll submit those. They're going to provide us weekly summaries of their field sheets for our review. And anything else I missed in there, Kyle?
Can I ask how you want me to add those to the council packet? Do you want me to create a folder for just that stuff? Or how do you want me to make it so you guys can find it and
I would
read
just
it?
create a folder that way everything's in it. Just
Create a folder and label it sewer new construction stuff?
Right.
Okay, excellent.
So we'll ask for reimbursement of those, and then we'll pay once the reimbursement gets here. I think that's what we discussed.
I think the way they get their scheduled values is their contract breakout.
Yeah.
I don't like it that way, it's fine. But I think we're gonna have to weigh those daily reports that they turn in weekly versus their scheduled values since, have you ever done a sewer project?
It's been a while.
I've done a sewer project, we're first in sewer project, so I think we're gonna have to be pretty diligent comparing those daily reports with the scheduled
Is that
values.
scheduled in here?
I did not have it, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't think that, they printed it on a great big thing.
I just was gonna pull it and put it on, it was here.
I can put it in there for you. I'll do it. I think it'll scan out.
It's not like I've never done a sewer project before either, but I just thought it would be nice to look at.
We got a little bit of time, so if we want to go over that in a work session or something between now and August, we certainly can do that. To go over the contract, the things that are in the contract. I've read most of it. There's a few things I haven't got to yet.
It's a little bit, you know, it's plug and play for.
Yeah, it's a lot of boilerplate. But there's some details in there we'll wanna be aware of.
I think I have a PDF file of it, so I can put it in some of
We are expecting, kind of in the discussion, we're expecting a change order to come with that, to add some more riprapping around new lagoon and that kind of thing due to the cost, favorable bids. Had some additional budget dollars that would be advantageous to take advantage of. So we'll take schedule of compliance, which is due by the end of 2027. KDHE's approved all the sewer plans, they've approved all the dates, so we are ready to go. Mercury has a couple items left out there, but they've cleaned up about everything. Probably the big thing that we'll be talking about on that is our plan for what we're gonna do with the burning pile, because obviously we won't, during construction, that's gonna be an issue to have the current burn location with the construction going on, so.
I'm just curious, what happened with our request of Mercury to shift all of their stuff so that we could, did they shift? It's gone.
They got 2 pieces of equipment left. Well,
No, it's all gone.
did they
So
get
they're
those this week?
No longer renting as of what they.
So it looks like it's just trashed on there
Yep.
Okay. So they're supposed to take care of that, is my understanding.
Not
There's a few
just
things.
some,
pallets.
yes, pallets, I was trying to think of the word, pallets.
Last
And
week,
that was all immovable, right, there was no.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it's good.
yeah, it's all good. They just got a few debris left that they need to pick up. So,
It would be nice if we could decide whether we can file it pretty quick, so we can put a sign up when and where it's moving.
right, that's why I was bringing it up.
In August, when they show up.
Danny and I have already
Looks
worked
like
on.
you moved way before August.
Well, yeah, obviously, I'm saying when people show up next fall,
Will there be things
having
being
not dropped anything off already.
And with the
Right.
garage sale, there's gonna be limb pickup
It's not.
before the main pay for the renovator. So, yeah, it's already gonna be happening. And then it's done
Yeah.
somewhere. So, John, what about the limb pickup for, like the garage?
I think we got a little bit of time here, so we'll get through the limb pickup and that cleanup, but that's why I'm bringing it up now, because somewhat time between now and August, we're gonna have to close that and determine where that's gonna be, if we're gonna have a spot for that. If not, that's gonna place some additional demand on burning in the city and where people can take stuff. So. Alright. That's the only thing I have on the sewer updates. I think that will get us pretty well down the line. We anticipate the project going fairly smoothly. I'm sure there will be some hiccups along the way, but most of that hopefully is workable without too many issues. The main thing is going to be the desludging and getting that taken care of, weather dependent, because that's always challenging. So, I think I might be the only one here with, that was for the last desludging 15 years ago.
I was gonna ask, how often does it happen?
About every 15 years, our current, in the evaluation of the sewer project, we were kind of borderline on whether we needed to desludge or not. Probably could have got a few more years out of it, but since we needed to do the other projects and changing the way the lagoon works, it made sense to do it now. So. And just keep in mind that is 60% loan forgiveness for the whole project. So we'll request those funds. We'll pay the contractors, and at the end of it, when we do the final KDHE loan, then that'll be adjusted at that time. So. All right, any other questions, concerns on that? Not, we'll move on to E2, Growth Committee. Growth Committee met on Monday, been working a little bit, and we've talked outside of the Growth Committee on a couple different projects in various different forums. Suggestion was made that we work on a succinct plan and getting volunteers for working on a dog park.
So it's a go, we're gonna do it. And we want you to lead the charge.
So, see if we can get some interest in that. We've got a lot of public interest in that, so let's see if we can, the initial location is a section of ground behind Casey's there.
Kyle has something to say.
So-
After we talked the other day, I talked to James Sage in passing, and he wants to
Okay,
throw a number at it. He's actually been doing dog parks in Kansas City,
okay,
so.
all right. Well, let's get him on board and we'll move forward on getting some more information and some costs and those kinds of things and locations. So that's kind of what we talked about.
The 400 feet we have, it's just
Just fabric, we have a little bit of top rail, a few posts, and a whole bunch of hardware, so. And it's all, Danny's got it all, gathered up in one location, so someone can take a look at it and see, you know, that was working on it, and see how much we had and if it's usable or not. The other thing we've been working on, we had a meeting, and I just presented that, the TAP, which is the study from KDOT for around the school. That draft is back. I'm sure you've all had an opportunity to review that. If you haven't, take a look at that. If we have any comments, questions, those are due back to KDOT, so we can get the final report of the study back for that. That ties into our sidewalk discussion. So the growth committee did talk about sidewalks and continuing on with that project. And outside of that, last meeting, we talked about sidewalks on Santa Fe Trail here and working on that on the east and the west side. Yes, east and west side of town. Don't know how far we're gonna get, and we're also working with CDBG to look at that grant. I think that grant is due June 1st, I think. So we'll have to track that down. And we need to get a preliminary engineering report. We do have some ideas lined up for that, how we're gonna get that accomplished, hopefully with limited funds and costs, so we'll have some of those put together. An engineer in town said they'd be willing to take a look at that, so we're headed down that path, trying to get that put together so we can get the application put together. That will figure out how much dollars the city would like to spend and what that application will look like, so get that to the council. We talked about, we believe it's a 80-20 grant. So, how much can we spend out of that for sidewalks? I don't know.
Have we spent our $100 yet?
We're working on it.
We'll spend it by the deadline.
We should.
Yeah, I have to, there's a report that's due at the end of April, and that's on my list to review. I need like 500%. Yeah, so. I know, cause we designated it, Jim designated all of it, he assigned it to places where it had to be spent, so I need to go back and see, and I know generator is one, and
Yeah, we'll have to go back and look at where those are. Most of those projects are moving on and have either been spent or in process. So I feel good about that. So that's kind of what we talked about, growth committee. Did I miss anything in that?
Those are the main ones.
Okay,
On the dog park, where's those funds coming from?
yet to be determined.
We might do a fundraiser, and then because there are a lot of people that would like to hang around the park. There'll be a little small section for small dogs and a bigger section for big dogs.
Yeah, I don't think we've determined exactly where. There may be some requests from the city, there may be some private funds. Don't really know at this time where we're thinking about that, but that's kind of the discussion that was had. There is a lot of interest from the community in that, so we could may get some community support for that. Okay, anything else on that? If not, we're gonna move on to public comments. Do we have any comments from the public?
I would like to say one thing.
Okay, Joanne?
When the council members talk, they're facing you, to where sometimes it's hard for us to hear their voices unless they speak up, because their backs are to us. So if they could speak up a little more so that we could hear what you're saying.
Okay. Do we need to
I would
rotate around the
appreciate
table? Do we need to rotate around the table? Would that help?
It might, I don't know, but
could even
I
sit
miss some of the
over there.
words
Yeah.
simply because, and my hearing may not be what it used to be either, you know, at my age. But when you're listening to somebody talking, their back is to you, it's hard to hear all the words unless
Okay.
they speak up a little bit.
I'm guilty about that, it's just bad habit.
We have a couple of soft talkers.
You're the fault. No,
And I'm sorry, I
No,
forgot to
no.
shut the dehumidifier off again.
no, that's fine,
That
but
makes a difference.
I've noticed it at every meeting I've been to. And yes, you're talking to the mayor and you're discussing things, and I understand that, but just raise your voice a little bit so we could hear back, I could hear back here.
Sounds
I'll say
good.
it that way.
Thank you for the feedback. All right, any other public comments? All right, if not, takes us to our G, which is our maintenance action items. Got a lot of things going on. The big thing is, I don't know if Danny got, a hold of, the county, to find out where we're at with our water on 56. They wanted to, dig that up themselves. So we've been working with them to get that completed. Right now, I don't know where. They said they would have it done in a couple weeks, and that was a couple weeks ago, and I haven't seen anything. So, but they're also have many projects within the county, so we need to understand what they're going to do there. We did get started with our sinkhole down by the co-op. We got some pictures, some fun pictures. Though you can see, as we discussed last meeting, you can see we're into the old railroad tie culvert, and we've tied on to some type of pipe. This is the south end, where we came out of the box culvert into a different pipe. That is the one tube that was removed, which was the larger tube. That a smaller tube went in, which caused the sinkhole to start with. So we're kind of determining what our next steps are, whether we tear all of this culvert out, or exactly what we're gonna do there. So, and what that cost might look like. So, we have a pretty good plan south of that. We did get engineering. You asked for engineering back, and Keithley did send us a report back on what they thought we should do. So we have the real question is how much of this do we want? Do we want to go clear up to the next drop-in box, or do we want to leave this and do this in phases? That's kind of really the basic question here. So I don't have any other updates on that, other than, still investigating. And he's ordered some pipe and got with the concrete contractor on the 2 drop-in boxes we originally, Keith had indicated in the report. So I'll keep you updated as to where we end up with that. We are concerned about weed harvest, and do we want to dig up that section right now? We'll need to work with the co-op and find out what they want to do, what their concerns are. So, working on finishing up the heating and air in the gymnasium, and I think most of our items on, as far as other maintenance items, we've got a bunch of potholes that we need to get started patching. And so if you have some of those, it'd be good to get those on a list if you see one that we may or may not be aware of, so let's be sure we get those kind of gathered up so we can get some patching done on potholes.
Any chance they could grade some of the worst alleys?
There's a chance of that.
Let's put it on the list somewhere.
Okay. Do some alley grading. And maybe something we might see if the county grader can help us out in some of that. Might be something that they could help us out with. We are, I don't think there's anything else. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. Besides this project, we talked last time, and I don't know, you don't want to load that.
Don't you got numbers?
I do have numbers.
Okay. Well, I mean, can't we just see
I-
it and then,
I don't
I
think,
have to download it, do I?
yeah, that's just video.
Right. Don't you wanna show pictures of what the, well?
You can.
I mean, that's on the discussion, that's on the agenda for down here.
Oh, okay, we'll talk about this later then.
Okay.
This was in maintenance. Oh, well, 2 refresh. We'll talk about that later. All right, there's 2 hours of video there if you want to review the well 2 video. It was pretty exciting,
Pick some popcorn
but we'll talk about that later.
or whiskey sour.
What's that?
Never mind.
All right, that takes us, anything else in G1?
Maintenance action items. We talked last August about the culvert that is housing reptiles and skunks. That's still at the city lake. It looks just like that culvert laying in the ditch. There's sharp metal sticking up. It still has not been removed. Right by the gazebo laying in the creek.
Well,
About 20 foot long.
it hasn't been removed because we didn't decide that it needed to be removed because John thinks that it's holding the bank.
Well, that's what riprap's for. That's what rock's for.
Good.
Well, anyway, that's why it hasn't.
All right, we'll get with, Jim at the, we did talk about some riprap around the lake. Our wildlife and parks biologist, see if we can see what his thoughts about that are. Cause that has eroded out, but we can go over there and see what we can do by getting it dug up. But we do need to be prepared to get some riprap in there if we're gonna do that, so. Okay.
John Mulberry Tree, right?
By the
By that
mulberry
great
tree.
big mulberry tree.
Yeah.
I
John,
missed public comment. Is there any way that I could still submit some public comment?
Yeah, I can circle back to public comment here in just a minute.
Okay.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else in maintenance action items?
I think it'd be a good idea if they put a schedule together to empty the trash can left instead of having people report that it's
Okay.
overflowing, so make a schedule.
Okay.
It goes on our plans.
Oh, it was Easter celebration.
And when they make that schedule, whenever there's a holiday, then they should, take that into consideration when they make the schedule. 'Cause I don't think they're doing that.
Okay, so we have trash and that culvert over there, let's get that taken care of. So nobody gets hurt. Matt, is that your concern?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll get that on the list. And it takes us to G2, OPR action items. We're looking at some payroll software, and this is really timekeeping software for Parks and Rec, for our part-timers, pool people, those kinds of things. We've kind of used a one in the past. But we haven't done anything actually official. We used the free version. But we'd like to make sure that our part-time staff, when they come here, are clocking in, clocking out, and we have an easy way of getting that into our payroll software. So
Connect Team is the one you're wanting to use.
So the recommendation is Connect Team at $49. So under 30 and over 30. In the summertime, we do sometimes get over 30 employees based on all the various helpers, lifeguards, umpires, those kinds of things.
Well, this time I don't think I'll be able to do the umpires, because the only thing that it can't do is put flat rates for how much we're paying them, so I can't pay them basically per job, I can only pay them hourly through this. And the umpire timesheet is a lot easier to calculate. The issue we were running into last year was that I'd have to manually go and punch their times and then calculate how much each day they worked, and it would take me 4 to 6 hours to do it.
Okay. All right. So any concerns from the council on this? Any motion to move forward with that?
I feel strongly that automating staffing, especially with this many people, schedules are all over the place in all the different areas, having it automated is going to be, I think, the best choice for the city, especially considering how much time it's taking her to do it. It's automated, less room for error. What?
You don't make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve connecting. If they already know how to use it, then you don't have a training issue.
I'll second.
All right, good. We got a motion by Polly to utilize the Connect team. Got a second by Cheryl for that. Any other discussion on that? If not,
I actually do have one more question. So,
Okay.
Since we're not doing umpires, it would be under 30 people, or even in the summer, it would be under 30 people?
Yeah, we only had 32 last year, and that's if you're counting the people who worked in this office and in the maintenance shop as well.
But we
So-
don't put them on Connect.
And then
No.
we count them.
Okay,
So we'll use the free version again?
No,
no.
If
We
it's
won't be
under
able to.
30,
So it costs $49 a month.
yeah, but
so right now.
If
we
it's
can
under
use it,
30
but we can't
people.
use it later.
what's that?
Once we hire our pool staff, we'll have at least 10 people working in the pool, and
I
then
think-
summer camp is gonna be like 6 or 7 people.
the second column is employee cost.
Yes. That's additional cost if you have more than X amount of them.
Right.
And how many people can we have to have it for free, Madison?
You can have up to 30.
Up to 30?
So then we did, okay,
So you're saying it
by
would be
what-
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you were asking. To up to 10 people, you don't have to pay anything.
Okay, cause on here it says under 30 is free.
Yeah, so that's, that cost, it says, basically that's price per month. Then that little asterisk, that's what that's implying.
Oh,
'Cause it's price
Oh,
per month.
and then over 30 employees were,
Yeah.
okay.
It'd be $2.50.
I still think that makes way more sense than whatever we're paying her hourly to
Oh,
calculate it.
And it's, and the the way it's been in the previous years was that every single, like, summer camp had a different time sheet, concession stand had a different time sheet, swimming pool had a different time sheet, so then when we brought the time sheets together, Madison had to go through and proofread them, every single one, and then she had to do them to Bailey, and Bailey had to go through and proofread. Yeah, I agree.
Can we
I'm
tell
sorry.
the same thing? Anybody get hot besides me?
Yeah, it just, if you compare wages spent on just gathering things versus $588 a year, I think that's probably the way to go.
Okay, we got a
So I still stand
motion,
with my motion.
we got a motion and a second, it's gonna cost us $588 a year. And if we get a whole bunch more employees, it's gonna cost us $2.50 more per employee. That's what I'm interpreting here. Okay, so we got a motion by Polly, a second by Cheryl, had some discussion, any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Alright, motion passes 5-0, so that was Polly, Cheryl, and motion passes 5-0. Okay, that takes us to anything else in OPR? I should have asked. Okay, pool action items. Working on getting the pool put back together. We got all the pieces to put it back together. We got a few gaskets that we're waiting on to be made, and then are they working on scheduling, pumping it out, cleaning it, and filling it. So the goal is to have it filled by
I want it filled by the end of April if possible, so we
End
can
of
announce
April.
the end of the whole year.
So we got 3 weeks here or so to get all that accomplished. All right. Okay.
Flanges? You're really hoping you talk about the flanges.
They're right here. There are our flanges. There are split flanges.
Officially the flanges, yay!
Split flanges, right there they are.
Custom ordered?
Yeah.
Custom ordered,
Custom built, yeah,
Yeah.
custom built flanges,
bespoke.
so we can run it.
Nice.
All right. So, okay, then I think I'll jump in if it's okay with everyone. We'll loop back to public comment. What do you got for us?
Well, I have had a few people in my office asking questions on this building over here who are interested in purchasing it.
Okay.
One was concerned because they said that they were told that it would not be rezoned. So, the problem with that is the fact that you can't have a blanket statement saying that you will not rezone it. If someone purchases it and they apply for conditional use, special use, you have to hear that case out.
Sure.
So, I went through and I used the golden factors. Any of you on planning? Okay, so golden factors are what you have to use when you're looking at a zoning case, all right? And I looked at the golden factors, I looked at your zoning, and I looked at your comprehensive plan. So, first golden factor is the character of the neighborhood. Right now you have mixed use, okay? So, we have public use, we have commercial use, we have residential use, public use, okay? Then you have to go through and look at the zoning and everywhere around here. Well, north of here, according to your zoning map, this whole block is commercial. Well, obviously it's not commercial. So right there you already have a mark where, okay, you're working outside of what you currently have for your zoning, okay? To the east you have commercial, currently used as commercial. To the south you have public use, currently used as public use. To the west you have a zoning, on your zoning map is residential, which is currently used at. So for the suitability of the site for development with uses permitted as the current zoning. So currently, public use. So if somebody wants to come in and purchase it and open up like rec area, something of that sort, school purchases it, any sort of 501(c)(3), yeah, those sort of things. Use limitation according to your zoning regulations. No structure or any portion of the land can be used for residential purposes, so they can't use it for a house, which unfortunately I thought it would make really nice apartments, but that's on page 45. And then it's subject to site plan review, okay? So if somebody brings you a project after they've purchased this, that is where you look at it and you say, okay, depending on what the use is, you have a shared wall, you're gonna have to, you know, go and do soundproofing, okay? But that's where you're gonna stick in your, you know, your conditions on the use, okay?
Whatever it may be, right?
Yeah. So number 4, the extent to which removal of the restrictions will dramatically affect nearby property. I don't think it would dramatically affect nearby property. I mean, if you have a commercial use in there, you're still gonna have traffic in and out. You're gonna have less, you can open up parking spaces because you won't have to have such a wide area for the fire trucks to come in and out. Neighbors won't be woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning because fire trucks are going up. So the detrimental use is not there, considering what it's currently being used as. So the length of time that the subject property has remained vacant as zoned since February of 25. The relative gain to the public health, safety, and welfare by a destruction of the value of the plaintiff's property. So right now, what they had it appraised at versus what people are wanting to buy it at has already been a detrimental value because they are not given the opportunity, or they are saying that they're being told that it won't be rezoned. So it's already causing a detrimental effect to the plaintiff's property because it's lowering the value. So you have that. The detrimental effect to the plaintiffs, I mean, they have an intent, you know, to sell it. They don't necessarily have an intent to go in and put in whatever. It's just whatever the next person, but you have to look at the intent or the effect on the current ones, okay? Let's see, does the benefit to the community at large, okay, preserve like the neighborhood character, all of that, the lack of traffic, maintenance of property values, increased property taxes, or sales tax. How is that going to affect the town? Okay, so let's say they sell it and somebody opens up a little shop, okay, and they've got baked goods, or they have like jams and breads, or let's say they just open up a little boutique. How is that going to benefit the community? On top of, you would have an increased foot traffic that can benefit the other businesses. You know, you've got to look at all of these things. You can't just make a blanket statement. So, okay, there's that. So, right now, public use is exempt from property taxes, right? So, you're not getting anything off of it. If somebody comes in here, it's gonna turn commercial. I mean, you're not gonna have residential right here, okay? So now you're getting commercial property taxes and sales tax. The cost, so you're gonna get the property taxes. Right now, the cost of the property is falling back on the taxpayers versus the taxpayers getting a benefit out of that property. Let's see. The recommendations of permanent or professional staff discussion, so that will be your zoning director. They will have to go through all of these and give recommendations, okay? And then the conformance of the requested change to the alignment or recognition of the master plan. It conforms with the comprehensive plan, okay? Your comprehensive plan states that it encourages land use development patterns that maintain the public benefit while encouraging orderly growth. If you have I mean, how many new commercial businesses has Overbrook had in the last 2 years?
Couple.
I mean, think about it. That could, I mean, it could potentially be a big impact. you're supposed to investigate opportunities to increase revenue for infrastructure maintenance and improvements to existing infrastructure that facilitates system expansion. So what can you do with that extra sales tax? You can put it towards infrastructure. And you are to attract retail and service businesses that fit marketed gaps and provide an improved mix of services to Overbrook. I would say a commercial business would do that. I mean, unfortunately, I keep seeing this in all of our small towns. We want growth. I mean, even in the county, we want growth. We need to encourage these commercial businesses to come in. Because right now, we're all footing the bill. And you're footing a little bit more of it because you're a commercial business. But we're all footing the bill. You know, your mill levies aren't going down. How many of our towns and our county are staying revenue neutral?
Overbrook is the highest in the county,
See?
by a lot.
Yeah. And I would say, are you, you're getting ready to do your budget
Right.
again.
I'm gonna say over 20 mils. Average across the county is around 50, and we're at 76.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a lot more services than other people have.
I
We
think
have
there's some,
the whole new water system that we put in for $7 million. We have a lot of other.
I think there's some differences between the communities, that
Yeah,
Kyle
I
can
mean,
speak to that.
you can look at that, like
Definitely.
Osage City, they have more people, but Osage City also lost their largest employer. So, we have new water lines, but you needed, you were pretty much at a spot where you had no choice but to do new water lines.
Sure.
And what's next? We're looking at, what happens when the trailer park and that sewer goes down. You get a new easement, you put in a new line somewhere else, but that's still an added cost to the city.
Yeah.
What happens if we get some of the flooding, and you guys are about to hear tomorrow on your new floodplain regulations, and it's increasing. So now you're gonna have new property owners that are put into the floodplain that didn't budget for it, didn't plan for it, their taxes are going up, and now they have to get floodplain insurance.
What office are you from? I didn't hear that.
I am here on my own, but
You said
I
people
work-
are coming to your office. What's your office?
I am the land development director for Osage County for planning and zoning. And we are doing floodplain, so you guys will probably be at one of your meetings here in a month or two to explain to you, but we have a meeting tomorrow. So the floodplain from around Overbrook up to Carbondale, and you guys are the lucky ones, you didn't get hit as hard. But
just, go ahead, finish.
well, what I was gonna say is you guys really need to look at this opportunity. There are a lot of ways that you can work together if somebody purchases this and uses it. You will have to do an easement for your sewer line. That's just, it is what it is.
And the water meter.
Yeah, water meter. But in the end, it could be a huge benefit to the town.
Yeah.
I guess my last plea would be, don't be like the county and say no to everything.
I understand.
Because, there's a need in more ways than one. And, I don't know what kind of business they've talked about putting in, but, there's ways to mitigate any sort of an effect that it would have on this portion of the building.
Yeah, just a couple points of clarification. I don't think planning and zoning, there's no voting in planning and zoning to determine one way or the other. There was no blanket statement saying it would or would not be. The
Okay.
only indication from planning and zoning was that at this time, not knowing what the purchaser's gonna be, we have no idea what they may want it zoned as. It will have to be rezoned. But what that's gonna look like and what those requirements would be, we don't know at this time. So there was some discussion about, well, what could be there.
It states in your zoning that it
Don't know.
cannot be residential. Now, with you guys looking at redoing your zoning, you could wrap that into your zoning
Correct.
review to change that. I would say I wouldn't do that until you actually have somebody that's coming to you, and then you do your whole notice and public hearings and
Yeah,
all
because
that.
all of that's gonna require a public hearing and
Mhm.
noticing and the standard rules associated with rezoning anything.
Yep.
So, but you can't do that ahead of time.
Yeah,
And I think there was some that maybe wanted an answer, as to, well, what about this business? Would that fly? Would this business fly? Well, I don't know.
well,
I mean, at this
and-
point, they don't know either.
and looking at the property, I will say you can look at this parcel and say there are things that just would not fly. Due to parking, due to,
Sure.
I mean, space, you know, you're not gonna be able to go and, you know, have a full service lot. Where are you gonna park all the vehicles?
Right.
I mean, that's just, I mean, you know, but I will say that if somebody is really looking at opening a business, they've already figured that when they're looking at it.
I would assume so. And they have a plan.
Yeah.
We don't know what that plan is at this time.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing one of the things she said was that we degraded the building because we slowed them down, and I wanna know, how did we do that? Because I don't think we did slow down the sale of that building, but she said that we did, so would you comment about that, John?
I don't know what they may be speaking of. I just wanted to clarify the point that, there's been no decisions and no actions taken from planning and zoning that I'm aware of, that, other than discussion of what could be there, and they have no idea of how to even vote or what the public comment would look like in a public hearing, because nothing's been presented. We don't know who's gonna buy it at this time.
But where my point was, by saying that they wouldn't rezone it, that's where the detrimental
Well,
effect.
we didn't
Who
say
said
that they
would
were
I,
rezone
I
it?
think
Where
that's,
did
that's what I'm trying to clarify. I don't think that was ever said.
That was
Okay.
never said.
Okay.
No.
So that's what I have been told by the gentleman that came in, was that there was
There's no
way-
guarantee that it would be rezoned.
No, and that's the other thing, I mean, we've had different ones where, you know, it looks like a really good plan, but when you really get down to it, you know, we've had more plans hindered by KDOT than we have anything else.
Sure.
I mean, try to get an access permit off of 56, that's not flying.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
There's one more comment I wanted to make in that, is when I was told that the, whoever got the fire district would have to get their own meter and they'd have to, all those things. But actually that doesn't appear to be true. There's 2 water meters in a pit in that building, so they have a water meter and they have your water meter. So we'd have to establish an easement from whoever buys that property.
Or where those are gonna be located at.
Well, their meter can, you know, is gonna stay there, but, so that was something that was else that was being told, that you have to get your own meter and you have to find out where it was, and actually it's all already there.
Okay, again, those things they'll all have to be negotiated out, whoever buys the building, if it's, you know, they'll have to determine that and how that's gonna play out.
Easements are the easiest.
Yeah, they are, you're right. So,
Thank you, guys.
okay, any other public comments? If not, we'll move on to public safety, G4, public safety action items.
People just asked.
Chief?
This is just a really short one. So, up to this point, when we have citywide cleanup day, the expectation has always been that we staff an officer at each dumping location to monitor what's being put in the bins. I've had a discussion with the mayor and with Becky that, does that need to be the expectation moving forward? Or could we just staff one officer for that? And if there's a problem there, the officer can respond to it. Because we are there for 4 hours, but the bins are sometimes there for 48 hours. So we don't really have any control with what's happening to when we're not there.
Good point. And if they see you there, they may circle around and come back.
Right, yeah.
So we're not gonna stop too much of, what kind of stuff are we afraid they're gonna put in there?
It's chemicals, e-waste, there's a whole list.
Yeah.
But my question is, do we need to keep staffing 2 people for that, or has the expectation changed over time?
I'm looking at budget.
Yeah.
We're also looking at his.
Because you get beat up on your
Task.
budget all the time.
Right.
I would say one guy,
Yeah.
just my opinion, if we vote on it, that's the way I would go, one guy's good.
We should put a camera on it and just know who dumps something.
Good. Good, that's certainly an option.
But like you said, since it's only for 4 hours, but it's there for 2
For 4
days,
Yeah.
you're just policing the honest ones anyhow.
Exactly, yeah.
They probably would want some help putting the couch in the dumpster.
Yeah.
Roderick would like some help with that.
With my paint cans.
Yeah. Okay, it sounds like, we'll leave that up to the chief, but it sounds like you guys are good with adjusting that as he feels needed for the budget considerations. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Nope, just that.
Okay. All right, we'll take a look at that. Okay, that takes us to financial report, G5. You need to get a drink of water while you're pulling that up.
So when you said that, what's that mean? When you said that people just won't hear it, so are you on their side or?
No,
what are you
no,
saying?
I'm just knowing from experience that.
Right.
I don't know why.
Right, right.
What this
Yeah,
highlighted
on
stuff
Facebook,
over here
people
is
complain, but
is
they
that
don't go find
I'm
it.
off on those little funds and I can't figure out why, so I have a call into the accountant.
Yeah, they just want to be mad.
It's not very much, the total is $200 and some dollars, $226. And I feel like it's in the back of my brain where I know right where that's at, but I just can't make that connection.
She did on that
But,
research.
so,
when she didn't have to, because we never said that. You know what I mean?
is that better?
So she went home and I was doing
I don't know if you have any questions.
that. And she's smart, she's not like stupid.
I don't know why the line's still not going through, but I will fix
Maybe
that.
she should be on the planning and zoning.
Figured it out over here on my computer now, I can see it over here. Oh.
Oh,
I
she
was
said,
doing wrong last week, so.
Okay.
we should put her on the planning and zoning.
We did do
She'd
better
be good
than
at
water.
that.
Okay, do better in water. Lisa's looking pretty good.
So yeah,
If
just
we're-
ignore this right here.
If we were taking a look at, as we discussed earlier, maybe sidewalks, that would most likely come out of special highway and street maintenance. Geo bonds, those are the transfers for our water and any other payments that we have.
We've done some adjusting on our maintenance payroll a little bit, so now we have a definite plan moving forward of exactly where things are coming out of and how many hours are coming out of each one. Cause we were a little willy-nilly there for a little bit, but we got that straightened out, we sat down and worked that through that one.
Fund 19, you'll notice capital projects, that's the 34,000, getting cash, we're negative, we got our reimbursement for 34,403.60, which took us back to zero, so that's where we're gonna be looking at paying all of the sewer, reimbursements out of, is that correct, Becky? So. So you'll see that budget item changing quite a bit. And employee benefit reserve, we're putting little dollars in there, and we're paying some of the employee benefits out of there. That was some of the life insurance and things that we added last year.
I haven't talked to Brian about the quarterly, report with being gone so much in March. I haven't. He kinda, when you gotta, hey Brian, hey Brian, hey Brian, let me help, so, I'll get on him.
Get a quarterly report,
Yeah, quarterly
and
report.
we do know that we still have an adjustment to make. We'll keep an eye on that. It doesn't appear to be changing, so that will look, okay.
Yes, I actually did add that. It is exactly the same again, so the difference that Brian found has not changed since December. So it means we're doing everything correctly, and he thinks it's from when we shifted to this Denali program, that was a mess up when they moved into the program. So it hasn't changed, so that's a really good thing.
Right.
Yes.
That's what we wanna see, and not changing.
It has not changed, and so when we finished the reports this week, I was pretty excited. I was like, yes, it's still the same. So, no errors.
Anything else you guys wanna look at on there?
Matt has requested the
Yeah,
trash,
I was looking at that.
so we have our positive this time. So I don't know what the difference is, cause I just pulled the numbers out of Denali, so I didn't actually go and look at the specifics, so I don't know what changed.
Do we have fewer trash cans?
Well, we
now?
have the less dumpsters, right? We got rid of the
did remove
dumpster.
2 dumpsters.
And we removed a can back here.
That was a dumpster. We removed a dumpster there, we
Okay.
removed one at the shop.
Would that be that much of a difference?
Do we have some extra large dumpsters that people may have been using that could account for some of that income?
I don't know, I didn't go look
Yeah,
at,
we'll
I
have to
didn't
go
go
look
look
at
at the trash report. I could find it. Ben does the trash report, so we could go get it and compare. But when I put those numbers in, I was like, that's nice.
So we'll continue to monitor that. We obviously are still getting quite a large number of people bringing us items that we don't know what to do with, or maybe they don't know what to do with.
Is it improving now they're picking up twice a week up there? Like it's not overflowing like it was?
Well, I don't know that it's overflowing, but we do have, items that don't make it into the dumpster, so currently we got 2 large pieces of glass over there. One, I think, is a tabletop, about the size, half the size of this table. And I don't know, the other may be a shower door, I don't know what it is, but, and we have I guess, china hutch. Someone needs the top of a china
I
hutch.
have a friend who just opened a rage room. She might pick up that glass tabletop to take it to the rage room and have somebody shatter it.
Well, there you go.
She picks up donations for real.
Alright, better call her, cause
Tell her it's
it's
there.
leaning up there and we're gonna need to do something with
I
it.
got a glass door you can have too.
Where's this at?
The rage room in NoCo.
Yeah,
Got a TV you want taken care of? She'll have somebody throw some camera
Well,
on
I
it.
need to tell her when our cleanup day is, and she
There
can
you
bring the
go.
truck down.
Yeah.
Becky, you wanna take a look at it? I wanna look at the transfers,
Oh, where are the transfers?
or down the bottom of that report.
There they are. Yep, right there. Oh, shoot. I'm trying to make it smaller. Is that too small?
Nope, not for me.
Okay.
Alright, so those are all our transfers. We've had a little bit of, changing in those and how we're paying, things, and just remind you, transferring out of some of the funds into, some of the other funds, specifically into debt payment reserve and, to, bond and interest, those kinds of things to pay for our water project, and our other bonds that we have, so. Any questions on the transfers? It's okay, I see you adjusted your numbers to whole numbers now.
Yes.
Since we got rid of pennies, I don't know what we're gonna do with rounding in the future, so. Alright.
Which hasn't changed, this is all the same as what it was last month, because we haven't made any payments on anything, so. Our next ones will be October here,
That'll be the large one, the 135.
August here. We'll do that.
We made that,
Three.
yeah, we made one payment there.
Yeah, we made that one. In March, and then this one doesn't start, oh no,
Yeah.
that one,
October.
and then this is the sewer project. So we did pay interest on the sewer project, but I didn't.
And we don't get loan forgiveness for
On the
interest
yeah.
and fees, KDHE fees, unfortunately. So. Okay. Any other questions on the financial report? Now, I'll take a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
We got a motion by Matt to approve the treasurer's report. We have a second. We got a second by Hannah. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion by Matt, second by Hannah. Motion passes 5-0. All right, that takes us to administrative action items, and we added section G6A for elected personnel. So I got a item here I'd like to read. Dear Mayor and council members, please accept this letter as my formal resignation from my position as a member of the Overbrook City Council effective Wednesday, April 8th. At the end of the meeting, it's been an honor to serve the residents of Overbrook and to work alongside those dedicated to the well-being of our community. It's been a pleasure to work with our council and Mayor John Brady, who has also done so much for Overbrook. I care deeply about this town and the people who live here. In recent months, I have found the level of discord within the community and the tone of the public interactions have made it increasingly difficult for me to serve in a way that feels constructive and aligned with my values. After thoughtful reflection, I believe it is best for me to step down at this time. I remain hopeful of Overbrook's future and appreciative of those who continue to serve with the dedication and care. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, Cheryl Miller. So, I'd like to say Cheryl's been a vital member of the council for quite a number of years here. I think this is your 9th year. Memory serves me correct, and I'd just like to thank her for her support and for her service to the community and to society in general. She's had a lot of valuable ideas, served on many different facets of the city, and she'll be deeply missed. So, all right. With that, we'll need a motion to formally accept her resignation to the position.
I don't think anybody wants that motion.
What happens if we don't make that?
Oh.
I don't know if we need an official motion, but it's you gotta have to accept the resignation. So, all right.
I guess I'll make a motion.
Consensus of the council, we accept the resignation of Cheryl. Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't get to serve.
What's that?
I'm sorry I didn't get to serve very long.
All right,
Well, I'd like to make one more comment.
all right,
Do we-
Cheryl,
do
the
we need
floor
to-
is yours.
Do we need to vote? My hope is that this is a great council, gets a lot of work done. Overbrook gets a lot of work done, more than a lot of communities around us. We have a working mayor. He gets in the ditches, he measures, he works his butt off. He's here, you know, in this office, hours and hours and hours doing his best. And because he does a lot of stuff and makes a lot of changes, there's an opportunity for people to get mad at him. And then when people get mad, they don't give it up. They stay mad. And then it splashes over onto the committee, and people are mad at the city council. And it really hurts me that people can be so, like on Facebook, so angry and so thoughtless in their comments, even accusing us of criminal behaviors. And when I read those comments, it makes me sad for Overbrook, and it makes me mad because I love Overbrook, and that's why I've served so long. And I just really hope, and you know, I just turned 77 Sunday. I resurrected. And I'm just not gonna live the rest of my 4 years being frustrated, angry, sad, worried. I have a good life, and I wanna keep having a good life. And my hope is that people of Overbrook start calming down, appreciating the work that all these people are doing for free, and just be more thoughtful about comments that they make on Facebook, because, you know, we're all in this together. We are a community. We care about our neighbors, and we should act like that. And so I'm gonna be watching to see how people are responding, and I really hope that people step up and show their kindness and appreciation and volunteer for things, because, you know, we volunteer, we do all kinds of stuff, and John does too. And so I can't continue to be on the council and be this upset, because I'm truly hurt, frustrated, and upset. I mean, just even the comments of this woman today, she could have easily asked somebody, you know, I've been told that, you know, she said, I've been told that, you know, there's gonna be no rezoning. Well, that's not even true. It's not even true. All it would have taken is a call to City Hall, ask somebody, and they say, well, we don't know what the zoning is gonna be, but we never said it's not gonna be able to be zoned. So stuff like that is just, it assumes that we're criminal, that we're bad, that we're wrong, and that we're greedy, and that we're working for ourselves instead of for the citizens, and that is 100% wrong. So I didn't realize I was gonna say all that, but it shows you what I feel about this discord that we have going on, and there's no reason for it. This is where you applaud.
Again, thank you, Cheryl, for your service. I appreciate your service, and you'll be missed. So that will serve out the rest of this meeting, and then the process here is we'll appoint a new council member, and the council will review that appointment probably next council meeting. Again, thank you for your service, Cheryl. You will be missed.
Well, you better invite me over for some whiskey.
That's a standing invitation.
All right.
Because from now on, it's gonna be fun.
Okay. I don't think that we have any consultation, so that takes us to G6C, City Insurance Rebate Information. Just thought I'd provide an update to talk about renewing, and then we did receive our rebate from insurance.
We just talked about how expensive the insurance was. We didn't get the rebate, so.
I got a rebate.
So that's a rebate for
Our insurance wasn't as much as the city's rebate.
city insurance, which is pretty hefty bill. for the city insurance, so. I just wanted to point that out. We've done business with Ron for many number of years and local business here, so we appreciate him and the work that's going on with that. All right. Anything else? Any questions on that? Okay. Takes us to H1, burn ban ordinance. We talked a little bit last month. The county would like us to at least be in sync with them on burn bans, which is a good thing. But there was some discussion, do we want to, there's a lot of things in the county burn ban that may or may not work within the citizens. We had Pat take a look at this. He rewrote some items here, and this is kind of what we have as far as how we would work with the county and the fire department, because obviously we want to be, if there's burn bans in place or any of that kind of thing, we want to be aware of those, and we want to restrict burning within Overbrook if that is the case. But we don't want to make it terribly difficult to let everyone know when it is appropriate to burn.
Well, I have a question on that. How do people in Overbrook know when there is a burn ban? How does that information get out?
You can go to the county website, to the sheriff's department part link, and then Facebook, the sheriff's department, and emergency management, not sheriff,
Right.
yeah, I think it's sheriff's
So
department.
I know
And they
that.
post it.
I know that, but how does everybody else?
Do you
know?
want us to start sharing that information
Yeah, why don't
better?
we do it in that
Because
order?
we have it pretty, I'm not gonna share it, but it was a little scary what happened in our neighborhood.
Okay. Russell, can I ask you a question?
The bad numbers.
Is that information on the fire department website as far as the burn bans, as when that is?
When we get the emails, I put it out on our Facebook page. Osage County's burn bans, when they are enacted, they stay in effect until they are rescinded by Osage County Emergency Manager. So it might be a 2-3 day long burn ban, but until it's rescinded.
Still in effect, though?
Yeah.
It used to be where they put a burn ban out, but at midnight or whatever, it expired. But now it's in effect until rescinded.
So to answer your question, Hannah, we can put it on our website, but it sounds like
I put it on my
information is
Facebook
available,
page. Yeah.
For the district fire department, as well as on their webpage.
I still think you probably should put it on the city page, just so you don't have anybody saying, well, I don't go to the fire department page.
Being that the city's not in line with the county page, I just put out that Osage County's in a burn ban because it's only for the unincorporated areas until, say, the city does adopt the resolution that the county's in a burn ban, city's in a burn ban.
Okay.
So.
All right. And I think that was the point of the county asking us, hey, if the county's in a burn ban, the city probably ought to be in a burn
And
ban.
maybe also in the newsletter, put the link.
Good point.
We can put the link to
how to-
both. Okay.
How to submit your burn, all that stuff.
And
And then when you go to submit a burn, it'll tell you whether you're in a burn ban, it won't accept it, and then you can't burn.
How many of our citizens get those alerts? I haven't gotten one in quite a while. I used to get them all the time with Jim, but I haven't gotten one.
We've been trying not to send anything out unless it's really important, because people tend to ignore them if you send out alerts too much for things that don't really, like, we send out alerts if there's a water break or if there's something like that, but if it's just a.
Well, and I would also partner with the bank, maybe your guys' sign, and maybe when there is a burn ban, put it out on that, you know, because people do look at both of those when they drive up and down the street.
All right, so we'll work on the communication plan. The question at the end here is this particular ordinance. Are we good with, the changes that Pat made to the ordinance? If you are, then we can enact that. Need a motion to do that?
I would move we accept the ordinance as amended by Pat, city attorney.
Okay,
I'll second.
we got a motion by Kyle to approve the 453. Is that what it is? 453?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I said. And a second by Cheryl. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? All opposed? All right, motion passes. That's Kyle and Cheryl. 5-0. Okay. That takes us to 2018 building
I
codes.
just keep it on there because it's unfinished business. that hasn't been
We thought we were gonna get a copy of those, however, I have not received a full set of those. We had some good discussion last planning and zoning, on building codes and what we're wanting to do on those. After the last discussion, had a couple action items to get with Franklin County, and we have contacted them and they're willing to come to our next planning and zoning to talk about how Franklin County is handling, cause they have adopted some building codes and what they have. Had some good input from the public, kind of the main question here, and I think there was a bit of confusion, I think, at the last meeting. We are really talking about, when we're adopting building codes, this is gonna be for new construction. I think there's, in our planning and zoning, what's gonna happen with the existing parts of town and some of the older parts of town that may or may not meet building codes at that time, how we're gonna implement that. And there was a lot of discussion about that. And I don't think, unless the council has different wishes, that we want to, are looking to go down the path of where people cannot do their own work. We would like it to be to code, but we're not wanting to inhibit a landlord or a private citizen from performing work within their property that is improving their property. You get into that with licensed electrical and plumbing. We want it to be up to code, but how are we gonna get there? So that licensure question is still out there, but there's a lot of concern about that. And then the tenant discussion, we had quite a good discussion on tenant discussion and landlords and those kinds of things, on restrictions on that and how that would play into that. So more to come on that. That's all I have as far as updates for planning and zoning. I think it was in the report, but a lot of discussion as to how and what we're gonna do on adopting codes. There is also some discussion at the state level about a state standard for building codes. So that was kind of new, that came up. I don't know where they're at on that bill, but there was some bills introduced in housing to associate building codes with some of that. So we need to understand how that's gonna play into any of our decisions. If they make a decision, obviously, we can't be less lenient than the state. So whatever that may be. Okay. That takes us to new business, purchase policy updates. I-1.
This was at the work session that we discussed the purchasing policy and changes to the purchase, so I just retyped this all up. This is the updated draft, took what you guys said, and of course I can find my mouse to scroll. So it's in the council packet to review.
You guys have any other updates to this after you've reviewed it? If you do, let's try to get those to Becky so we can get anything updated.
This is everything that you said at the work session.
It all came out of the work session on purchasing policy.
Good job.
So do we need to make a motion to approve this compilation of the discussion?
Or
If
whatever
we
you like
asking?
if you wanna approve this as the policy, or do you have any changes or wanna review the policy some more? What do you wanna do?
Let's review it, and then if anybody has any note changes by the next meeting,
Okay,
then we accept it.
alright. Understand, we'll get it in a succinct format, and we'll represent next meeting. Any changes, you guys get to Becky, she'll make them, and then we'll look at approving it next meeting. Consensus? Okay. Alright, this seems like an odd one, but I-2, request for, and then, let's take I-2 and I-3 somewhat together here. They're separate requests, but just wanted to kind of give some background here. In the report, we met with the Lake Committee and Parks and Rec, met Jim, what is his last name? Miazga, I think is how you pronounce it.
I think.
Hopefully I pronounced his name right. But anyway, Jim, we've met with Jim a couple of times. He is the wildlife biologist for Overbrook City Lake and works for the state. He manages our city lake and our CFAP grant, which is the Community Fisheries something grant. We've gotten that grant for many years. Some recommendations that coming out of that, which is kind of the whole point for this crappie tournament, is that general recommendations are to stop feeding fish, generally speaking. That's creating a stunted growth and an overpopulation to some extent in our lake. It's not solely attributed to the feeding of fish, but partly. And we have way overstocked as far as we have some invasive species, crappie being one of them, probably introduced into the lake at some point in time, maybe by some avid anglers that thought they might want to do that. Years ago when the fish, when we first started the lake, we had this same issue, and we actually, the wildlife, the state managed that and took care of the crappie at that time. So this is our attempt to reduce fish population to allow for a more sustainable fishing population and allow the fish to grow bigger, because really they're all very small and not a very healthy population as far as fish being underfed because they don't have enough predators and they got a lot of competition for a lot of small fish. So that includes crappie and bluegill. So one suggestion was to harvest as many as we can, and so they're requesting $350 for crappie prizes to help manage and get these crappie down in our lake as much as possible. That goes along with the same kind of request for some night fishing in the summer. Again, to reduce fish population, they're going to be doing some surveying over the summer to determine electrofishing, and also going to be doing some hiring some folks to do some interviewing of anglers and those type of things to kind of get a handle on how best to manage the lake moving forward. But those are the big recommendations. And then aeration, we don't have a proposal for aeration, but that is coming, how we're going to manage aerating the lake to sustain good fish population.
What happens to those feeders? You pull them out, do they just take them and put them to another pond, or how does that work?
Well, there are feeders,
Oh,
so
there are.
we could sell them, we could leave them out there. They
Don't
have,
think they need to be left out there. I'm telling you what, guys, they are a safety issue. There are kids using them as diving boards. When you go up there, there are kids in the pond jumping
okay.
off.
Understand,
of
we
those
need to
feeders.
remove them is what I'm hearing.
I got talking to Danny to find out where we can move them to store them.
Yeah,
And
or just sell them,
And then, and then figure out.
scrap them, whatever we're gonna do with them. Two of them, one of them doesn't work, and the other one only feeds a certain size of feed. We have a few bags of feed left. We're gonna validate that, but we're gonna feed the rest of that and then look at removing those and then look at a plan for better aeration. We've kind of fought those over the years, so the two requests here, I guess, any concern with, prize money for crappie tournament?
Do we know when that tournament is gonna be?
We
April
do,
18th.
What is it?
April 18th,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's coming up fast.
They haven't advertised for it. like
Yeah,
that.
they actually have, they posted it.
I put out the
So,
flyer.
I have a whole bunch of questions
What if
about
you
it.
catch fish other than crappie?
you gotta abide by the other Creole limits that are out there, but, there's no limit on crappie. I believe this currently the way it is. They're posted over there, whatever the Creole limits are. Okay, do we have a motion to approve that for the crappie tournament?
I make that motion.
Alright. Got a motion by Hannah, got a second?
I'll second.
Got a second by Polly. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Polly, Hannah, and motion passes 5-0. That's what I got
For the prize money.
for the prize money. And we want a request for some night fishing this summer. We want to make a motion to approve that. Once they determine dates and times, get that back to the council. Is that, I would assume we want to know when that might be.
Oh, yeah, it's not gonna be open for nights, it'll just be certain days.
Well, I think what they were discussing is extending the night fishing maybe into midnight or,
Oh,
Like
I
on
see.
Saturdays.
because right now
You're not gonna go sit up all night.
the park closes at 11, I believe it's
Right.
10 or 11. So they would be requesting some times.
Yeah,
I don't see, people up there night fish, they're not bothering anybody.
Okay.
I don't see a problem with it at all.
That was again, I encourage you to take time to read the Wildlife and Fisheries, Jim's report.
KDW is D5. D5.
So,
Oh, it's, okay, I was looking in the eyes.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of good recommendations out of there, but,
We know it's a committee report.
so, that's what's stemming that. Okay, so we got a motion to, approve the night fishing, but we would like, times and dates that they're requesting. Is that what I'm hearing?
Go for it.
All right, is that a motion, Matt?
Yep.
All right, we have motion by Matt. You get that, Bailey?
Got it.
All right. You got a second?
I second.
Got a second by Hannah? All in favor? All right, motion passes 5-0. I didn't say, anybody opposed? I was ahead of myself. All right. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, that takes us to concession stand gym windows. We've requested a few bids out there. We got one bid back. Concession stand, we're still discussing the gym windows.
These are for the one that's broken, that got broke, so these are rock through.
And this is to replace the two boarded up windows where the old air conditioning is and replace the entire frame and window with commercial grade windows. My understanding is this particular bid will open some, although, but it does say window type fixed, so. But my understanding, one of them was fixed with a part of the pane, but you could actually crank out awning style, one of the windows, validate that, so. Would you prefer that, or you prefer fixed and fixed on both? We don't have that bid at this time, but.
Are these the windows on the front side is that Cedar Street, or this is somewhere else?
This is,
On the concession stand?
this is for the
Gym.
gym, the two windows on the south side, on the entrance to the gym. That had the air conditioning in there,
Oh.
and
Yeah, okay.
one of them's boarded up, and then they threw a rock through the other one, so now it's boarded up. So, we're gonna have to replace them to do something with them,
So
so.
I would say they should be fixed. I have some concerns with as many people that go in and out there, somebody decides to go ahead and open one and then
Yeah.
forget they left it open and.
I'd say
There it
fixed too,
is.
but I would try to get other
Alright.
bids. That seems kinda high for
Yeah.
There it is. $5,000.
Commercial grade windows,
Shatterproof.
yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I asked them for something that a rock wouldn't go through, or they'd have to work really hard to get a rock through it.
So,
So,
we're putting the heating and air in there, so they're, argon inside and energy efficient. Do you want them tinted? I don't know if that was on there or not, but I guess I would ask for permission to move forward with those particular windows with fixed, and if we can get a cheaper price, we'll do that. If not, we can move forward. Otherwise, we'll be waiting until next month to give someone the go-ahead.
I'm okay with that. I'll make a motion to go ahead.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion by Cheryl to approve up to the amount currently indicated for the gym windows. And a second by Kyle. And we'll try to get some additional bids. We did request a bid, but we haven't received it from the company out of Osage City.
yeah, I haven't even heard back from them yet.
So, and that's been several weeks, so. All right, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, we'll continue. Concession stand windows, Madison and I and Becky had some discussions on that. We would like to replace both windows on the concession stand, or at least one of them. But we were also wanting to look at security over there. We got a kind of a homemade cage over one of them. We'll take the air conditioning and the other out of the other one. But we were also looking at maybe some food trucks type windows where it would be kind of have a window on there, but you could open up the awning and go up. And I priced a few of those out, somewhere around $700 a piece, but then they need to be installed. So we're kind of looking at those type of options. If you guys have any different thoughts as what that might look like.
And the goal for this is to try and get this done before this season,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah, fairly soon.
I'm having trouble again. I don't know why this happens.
Okay. Madison, you have anything else to add to the concession stand discussion?
For the windows.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that our season will be done around July 3rd this year, so we do have a bit of a time crunch for that. But as far as the windows go, the staff is considerably limited by what they can do with the space that they have in the windows, because they can't like have one person over here and then running it where the pickup is at a different location. So you have to kind of wait for people as you have orders come in.
Yeah.
So getting this done would be very beneficial.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the discussion years ago. We only ever used to operate only one window because nobody operated the other one. So then, took it out, and here we are. Okay. Goal is to get the windows redone. Okay. Anything else on that? If not, we'll move on to well 2 repairs discussion. If you want to take a look at that,
Doesn't it have the measurements where the holes are?
you certainly can. There's I reviewed 2.5 hours, 2 hours, I don't know. It was a really long time. Video footage of well 2, but the highlights of this discussion are well 2 is a 6.5 inch ID, so it's a 6-inch well, 486.79 feet deep. Water level is 337.3 feet deep. And we got some casing joints at, I'm guessing this is feet, 9, 3, 30, 50, 88, 109, 132, and 392. Not sure, got some gaps in there, but maybe they couldn't see them. But the real discussion here is might remember from the preliminary engineering report and our videoing of this well 5 years ago, we had an offset, what we called an offset at the time, but really it's a bulge, so there's a large constraint, as they put it, here at 147.2 feet, certainly above the water level. We believe that the casing, when I'm looking at it, going down it, the casing is coming in, probably cracked and degraded. There's a hole at 341 feet just below the water line, a hole at 384 feet, and at 390 feet there's an open hole and there's no screen on the bottom of it. All of those are problems. I did talk to KDHE on the current well. We can't really line it because as far as lining goes, it doesn't meet the minimum criteria for a public water supply well. I believe it's an 8-inch well. I need to validate that, but I believe it's an 8-inch well is the minimum for a public water supply well now. So we're looking at re-drilling at the water conference. They've got some information as some contractors, a couple good ones out of Oklahoma, one out of Nebraska, and our next steps are to probably select an engineering firm. I have one we'll put out there officially. Excuse me, a request for proposal to, or request for qualifications, I should clarify. For some engineering firms, we got one from Midwest Engineering. It's laying back there. If you guys want to review that, we'll review those officially. We'll have our current Keithan and Schwab Eaton submit one, and maybe some other firms. We'll see who those are. Select an engineering firm. Once we get that selected, we'll have to then look at the process of either re-drilling or what we're going to do, what our options are with well 2. So that's kind of where we're at on that. It was good to get confirmation of what exactly the issues, why we're seeing some pretty murky water when we're doing our flushing on that. We've used it intermittently through 2025, but as you might remember, towards the end of the year, we quit using it because we were getting some undesirable, I guess, dirt during our flushing and what have you. And then we had it pulled and this videoing done. So they pulled it quite some time ago, but they had to wait to.
When I press play, it skips to the next image. So it's like they were recording for a while and then they stop.
Yeah, they go around the circle.
There's like.
Yeah. It was a really long video, I will tell you that.
It seems Academy Award worthy.
Yeah, so see, this is at 65 feet.
Yeah.
So where did you say the first one was at?
147 feet.
Yeah, so I think that was like the next image, when I clicked next.
Oh, okay.
It looks like it should come with a seizure-inducing warning.
Right?
Yeah, so there's the image, that's the image.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it looks like it's cracked, and they went around and looked at it.
But then when you hit play again.
Yeah, it goes back to where you were at. I
Yeah,
don't know if you go up, onto the video, if it'll let you fast forward, but that's one of the holes at 341 feet.
That's it. When you hit play, it just skips over to the next image. At least it did.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
See, so there's the next image.
I'm all good.
If you want to review it, it's here. You can review it at your leisure.
I trust that they found it.
It took me a good bit on Friday to watch 2 hours of it. Anyway, so that's what's going on with well 2. So more to come on it. We're really just in the early stages. We now know that we were debating whether to actually put the pump and the piping back in the hole and pump it and do whatever, but sounds like, it looks like that's probably not a good plan at this point, so. This is, just to remind you, this is one of the 2 original wells that were drilled in '56. 1 and 2 were the original ones. 3 was next. 4 was next. Those are much, much later.
Seems pretty logical that it would go that way.
Good 5s.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
Well, 3 is actually older than 4.
Okay.
It just didn't belong to us. So, that's why I say that. It seems logical, but it's not. So, we'll see what our next steps are on that, but, yeah. Right now, we don't have any concerns with water. The only other thing I'd probably, on well discussion, there's a little bit of discussion, and we sent out a public notice. And I'll take some blame for that, because I reviewed it and I didn't catch it either, but when we, everybody's familiarity with the lead copper rule, I did want to address that a bit. We don't have any lead service lines. The only lead would be in actual people's homes, in their piping, potentially in their homes, if they could have lead solder with copper pipes. We've tried to identify those. So back in 1993, we identified 40 sites that we potentially could sample. They can't have water softeners, they can't have water treatment, can't have various types of piping. So the whole goal here is to try to find anything that might contain lead. So we've identified those, that's on our sampling plan. And we've done that for many years. We've had no violations of any lead coppers in the 30 years we've sampled. Originally, that was 2 6-month monitoring periods with all sites. And we were required to collect 20 sites at the time of the 40 that we identified. That is, now we are on what they call reduced monitoring. So we are collecting 10 samples every 3 years. We've done that for many years now. We've not had any violations of lead or copper in our drinking water. The whole point of the lead copper rules did stem somewhat out of Flint. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not, but used to be that metals were only regulated at the point of entry, which would have been out at the chlorine shack. They are no longer, lead and copper are actually regulated in the distribution system, hence the lead copper rule was invented in 1993, as I mentioned. So the next round here in the last couple of years, we not only had to identify lead service lines, but we had to do an inventory as best as you can. Now, many cities send out surveys, and you've seen some surveys over the last few years. What your service line from the meter to your house is. What's that constructed of? Is that copper? Is that PEX? Is that, cast iron piping? What is that? When we did the water project, we inventoried all of those as we hooked up meters. Unfortunately, we had a couple sites that we identified as lead service lines in the engineering report that was done by the engineering company. And we did not validate that at the time. We had to submit that to KD&G. So when we submitted that list, we had a flag on that, those 2 sites. We have went back and validated that that was incorrect data, but we submitted it anyway, so hence the violation for the lead copper that everybody received in the mail. So just wanted to give some background as to that. There's no concerns for lead or copper within the city, but we did have some reporting issues noted in that. So we asked them if they would consider rescinding that, and they said, no, we'd really like you to go out on public notice, for the error, so that's what we did. So, that's why you all received the letter, so. Yes, Cheryl, question?
Yes, I should have asked this during the sewer project, so back up there. If, you just reminded me, like, have we ever solved the problem of the, people putting water from homes and towels, blue towels, going into our sewers to block them up? Have we ever? Because I know we were gonna talk with people.
I think we've solved the blue towel question, to some extent, at least 80% of it, 60 to 80% of it. We're certainly getting less of those, but as every city is dealing with what the popularity, of flushable wipes, is much to the detriment of every sewer system in the country. They're not really that flushable, from a sewer perspective. So that does cause quite a few problems in all sewer districts, and as well as ours. So that they do take longer to break down and those kinds of things. So we've seen an increase of that, but a decrease in the blue towel question. So
What about, we were gonna work with, individuals whose, drainage was going into the sewer instead of going out to the street? Have we done anything about that?
we have worked on that, but on the sewer, to some extent, that is a long, arduous task. As far as we've identified some of those, there's not a lot of good solutions to some of those, because some of those may be basement drains. They may be, we've done most of the sump pumps. We may have missed a few out there disconnecting sump pumps, but floor drains and some of the other unknown drains still exist out there. To fix that is going to be challenging, and that was the construction standard at the time. So building the wetland cell, the decision was made, the wetland cell would probably help us mitigate that time frame, and then continue to work on the I&I issue, not only from that type of influence, but also from cracks or breaks or whatever we have in the sewer mains and sewer connections, because there's a good bit of that as well. We've lined a lot of the sewer in town, but we certainly have not lined all of it. The example we had was the line that we replaced here behind, over on Locust there. We did that work last year. We had that offset between PVC pipe and clay pipe, and we got 400 foot of clay pipe that is clay pipe. And every 6 foot there's a break, and tree roots galore. So eventually, we're gonna have to do something with that. But when and how much money that will cost, I don't know. So I don't know if that answered your question.
It did.
Okay. So that's kind of where we're at on well 2, and an update on public water supply regulatory world. Okay. Guess that takes us to mayor comments. So again, I'd just like to thank the council, thank the public for coming. Appreciate everybody's participation. Thank Cheryl for all her work over the years. She'll be sorely missed, but we'll look to task her with some other opportunities as we go on. So, anyone else have any other comments? If not, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we got a motion by Matt.
I'll second.
And a second by Paulie.
All of those.
Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0, Matt and Paulie. All right, and that's as it's adjourned.